Hey students, this is the second video in our course on science and faith. In the first video, we talked about how you can believe both science and faith because they are answering different questions. Science answers the how questions of life, like how gravity works and how plants grow, whereas faith answers the why questions of life, like why am I here? Why does the world exist? Both of those are necessary questions, and science answers how the world works, which is a question the Bible isn't trying to answer. And the Bible answers why, which is a question science cannot answer. And so we look to both science and faith for answers to different questions, and we can hold them together, trusting both of them and utilizing both of them. Today, I want to talk about why we're here. What is our purpose? What is the Bible trying to say about our meaning in life? Well, in Genesis chapter 1, we see God creating a perfectly ordered universe. I want you to think for a moment just about how complex our universe is. And then I want you to think about how well it works together. I mean, that is not just a chance. That didn't happen by accident. God creates this perfectly ordered universe, and then on the seventh day, it says God rests. We have to wonder, well, did God get tired? No, God doesn't get tired. In other places in the scriptures, it says God doesn't slumber, He doesn't sleep. So what is God's rest all about? Well, it's all about God living in this good creation that He's made. He says, everything that I've made is good. It's working well together. It's functioned together according to divine wisdom, and this is the place I want to call my home. But God creates human beings different from every other created thing, and He says, humans, they are very good. And it says that God creates us in His image. And that just short phrase has so much to do with our meaning and our purpose in life. We are made in the image of God, and I think that means three really important things. The first is this: we're all equal in the eyes of God. We're all equally valuable. There's no person on God's green earth who's more valuable than the person next to them. We're all equally valuable, therefore we should treat each other equally. Can you imagine how the world would look if everyone treated each other equally? If everyone treated each other with the same amount of dignity and value, if no one thought that they were better than another person, can you imagine a world shaped by that kind of economy? That's how God created our world to be. All of us looking at each other in the eye and believing in our hearts that person is valuable, that person is dignified, that person is made in the image of God. So that's the first thing it means. It means that we're all equal, and we should treat each other that way. The second thing it means is we were created for a relationship with God. Can you imagine that? The God who created us wants a relationship with us. He wants to have communion. He wants to talk to us. He wants to hear from us. He wants to extend His love to us, and He wants us to be able to receive His love. He wants to give us instructions about how to live, what is good, what is bad. And He wants us to believe that all of His instructions come from a deep place of love and care for us. The third thing is this: we were made to represent God by having relationships with each other and by working and creating things in the world, things that are good for people and things that are good for our planet. And you may be wondering, okay, Cam, why don't I live in a world characterized by those three things? Why doesn't everyone treat each other equally? Why don't I have this perfect, loving relationship with a God that I know, with a God that I understand? Why is it sometimes that I feel alone? Why is it sometimes that I feel like God isn't listening to me? Or why is it that sometimes I find it hard to hear from God? And why is it that people don't love each other all the time? And why is it that the things that we create are oftentimes really bad? The systems in our societies oftentimes favor some people over other people. Why is it that so often we take our hands and we create things that are actually harmful to the planet or to other people? That's a great question. Genesis 3 happened. So in the creation account, Moses is trying to help us understand why the world isn't the way God created it to be. And the answer to that question is sin. It's a broken relationship between man and God. You see, we were created for a relationship with God that would lead to us representing God. And when that relationship was broken, the first two humans, they didn't trust that God had their best interest in mind. They didn't trust God's instructions, and so they did what they wanted to do, what they thought was best, instead of what God said was best. They didn't trust Him. And when that happened, they stopped representing God well. They stopped loving each other the way that they were meant to. In fact, their first kids, the Bible tells a story of Cain killing his own brother because he was jealous of him. And from there, we see all of this pain and destruction begin to fill the world that you and I live in. And honestly, it's a world full of pain and sadness and hurt. And you and I feel that every day. And if you were to ask the question, why is the world the way that it is? The Bible would say, because our relationship with God has been broken. And the story of the Bible is a story of God on a mission to restore our friendship, our relationship with Him, to restore trust in Him and His goodness and His love, to make a way for us to have constant access to Him so we can talk to Him, so we can hear from Him, so we can know what He's like, and so that you and I can be restored and become the people God created us to be all along. Loving, creative, building things that are good for people and for our planet, treating each other equally, and creating a society that's established by those same values. So why don't you, as we unpack this idea, continue to scroll through. We've got a little bit of content for you to read and some questions that we'd like to ask you.